What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm currently doing some audio testing. I got a I got a virtual audio cable, and I've got the voice meter potato. And I'm gonna try to get all my audio sources figured out right now. And I've also had some thoughts this morning that have popped up. I don't know, like I think whenever I get rested enough and I'm able to process the information that I'm absorbing, I start to think about some pretty profound things. And I don't know if anyone else is on the same wavelength. Sometimes I'm curious if anyone else is thinking or seeing things the same way. But yeah, totally separate than troubleshooting the audio devices here. I'm gonna be listening to this back, and I just want to make sure that all my audio sources are set up properly. But I thought, as a test, I could probably just go ahead and riff off of some of these thoughts I've been having while I'm doing this. Most of the time I'm doing my videos, I realize I'm actively engaged in doing something else. And somehow I think that allows the thoughts to come to the surface the way, in a way that is more, I don't know, it gives me something to focus on while I'm having like, but it could be distracting too. So I thought too, like, what if I just stare at the camera and do a video just talking to the camera? I think that's what people probably want, would probably enjoy, is like seeing me just speak to a camera about my thoughts and ideas. But it's like doing a podcast in a vacuum, which can be done. I mean, we've heard Bill Burr, he's got a podcast, and there are other people who do podcasts where they're just talking to themselves and it's still entertaining to listen to or watch. But myself, like, I don't know, like, I feel like I'm best in like a small group setting where I got like one or two people I can bounce ideas off of. That's where I think I'm at my peak. But here is my audio stuff. I don't know. I woke up and I was thinking about things like your different, you know, providers for the resources and stuff like that you use. Not necessarily your resources, but like the products and services that you use, and how like those products and services can be competed for. Like you can put your vendors for your products and services in competition with each other. And usually whenever you have providers or vendors or service providers competing with each other, the customer wins because you get a higher quality product, usually at a lower price, because the price point's also a point of competition. But also like how you as a consumer of those products and services can kind of be more discerning. Like you don't want to support you know, global tyranny or like anything like negative in the world by supporting a vendor that has their hands in other pots, or that are harvesting resources from areas that are damaging ecosystems and things like this. So like you can have more sustainable and renewable providers that harvest from sustainable and renewable resources and practices. And I don't know, I was kind of thinking about the equivalent for videos and entertainment, like for the content that I make. Like I pretty much stick to the same few providers for, or platforms, and I have different platforms for different reasons, but I'm not totally conscious or totally well informed on the business practices of these providers and stuff like that. Not that they're bad or that they could be negative or anything like that, but I don't know, just for my own awareness, like supporting these people supports what in the world? I guess that's the long and short of it. Like for my business, for the Stalwart Vanguard, like what does supporting me support in the world? I guess the products and services that I still consume would be more empowered the more empowered I become. So I guess having like being cognizant of that and having like a a just an awareness of what you're doing and where you get things from, it can help. It can help like propel you and your business and your industry in a positive direction. So I guess that's probably the most diplomatic way to explain what my thought process was. But totally separate from that, like, well, kind of relevant, but totally separate. I was also thinking about things like herd animals and how like they can be kind of democratic in a way. Like if you got deers that are like a deer, if you have deers, if you got deer grazing out in a field or a forest or something like that, they're constantly voting. Like you would think it's just the alpha, like the buck, the one that's in charge of the pack, could be like the one that's steering where the deer are herding and grazing and stuff like that. But they're all actually, I heard this somewhere, I don't know exactly where. And a lot of the stuff that I will say that I talk about is like that. Like I heard it somewhere, I don't know the source. You got to find it yours, I guess. Like I could find it myself, I could look it up, but it would distract me from the tangents that I go on. Even talking right now, I'm getting distracted by the tangent of being distracted by tangents. But regardless, the deer, they graze and they're voting, they're grazing, and they look up, and then they'll look in a direction, they'll go back to grazing. And that in the way is how they're voting on where to go next. I was thinking about this with video games, because as I'm watching, like I'm on Twitch a lot, so I'll see like what gamers are gaming and what games are kind of popular. And Steam has the same kind of thing. You can look at Steam charts and find out where all the gamers are playing games on Steam. And in this way, you can kind of get an idea of where the swarm of locusts are going next and like where they're harvesting from next. And you could be part of that swarm and just go and harvest and consume and devour the different things. But you could also have, like, for me, I got some tried and true favorites as far as video games go. And I tend to favor certain games. And I feel like the more I put my time and energy in that game, the more it kind of like supports the people that are creating things that I like, I guess. But what I don't want to be is just like another locust in a swarm that's devouring fields and crops and stuff like this. I'd much rather be someone that's a little discerning about where I spend my time and energy. And that's kind of like how I'm thinking whenever I play the games that I play. Like, is this a game that I see myself playing for very many? Is this a world I can live in? Is this a world of Warcraft that I can live in? And there are other games like that. Like it's not just WoW isn't the only MMO. And I've grazed in other fields. I've checked out other games and stuff like that as well. But I think you probably look at my videos and the content that I create and very strongly associate me with a WoW, being a WoW gamer, because I very much am a WoW gamer. And that's one example. Like there are racing games I play and that I've traditionally tend to favor, like just kind of what the gameplay of that game looks like. For example, I would play the Crew 2 a lot. The Crew 1 and the Crew 2, both of those had a very long race that you could run. And it was an enjoyable and varied enough of a track that I could run that race many times. And they specifically were the most rewarding for like at the end of the race, it had like the highest payout. So I would look for that track. I would find the one race I can continue to race over and over that had the highest payout. So then I could go and buy every car in the game. But it took like hours. Like I would get better at the track and my times would get faster, but the payout was rewarding enough that I could mix up my gameplay and bring different cars to the track. And there was always some way that I can like tune the nuances of my gameplay rotation in order to make it more fun for me, but also allow me to explore more of the game. Excuse me. So yeah, I like that. I like that's very simply, I think, my thought process on the games that I play. Like, what's the rotation look like? And is what I'm doing varied enough and rewarding enough that I want to keep on doing it? And if that's the case, then I don't know, like racing, you're totally locked in and focused on the road, right? But your thoughts can kind of wander like meditatively and allow you to like process things. and maybe you're doing it like subconsciously, or like maybe there's like, I don't know, it for me it almost feels like being able to focus on something that you're really good at. And maybe this is like, this is tied to industry as a whole. Like what does your daily grind at work look like? Most of us get established enough in a routine of what we're working on or what we're producing that you can start to tune it for efficiency. And the more you're able to tune it for efficiency, you're able to, I don't know, percolate thoughts and ideas around that. Or I guess in a way I think of it like time travel. It's weird because like when I was in the military, we'd do deployments, right? And the sooner I could get to doing my job, I feel like the faster time would go. Like because you kind of expect things, and this is also the case like consciously, like as conscious entities in the universe, like we are, like people with thoughts and feelings and emotions. The more you're hitting kind of the same notes, the more you're kind of like able to kind of enter a zen mode, like a state of consciousness that allows you to free up energy in your mind, like to efficiently move on to other things like outside of that. So I don't know, in my mind, having that meditative space where you can kind of like do an expected routine or habit, it allows you that efficiency that frees up your energy in your free time to go explore and adventure and maybe incorporate more things into that routine. So I think this is the case in the workplace. Like you're never just doing the same thing. You're always gaining and improving your skills and abilities. And there's usually a progressive ladder that you can climb where once you've mastered this, you're able to gain more skill and master other things. And that all contributes to the whole of that industry or that career or whatever you want to call it. And games have this. This is a game is like a simulation of those things. So having that in mind, I always think about how thoughts and ideas and experiences can cross-pollinate across industries. And you can take your experience with you everywhere you go, and that's what creates your skill, is like the accumulation, or your career, it's like the accumulation of all your skills. And for example, with social media and platforms and stuff, you can have different platforms for different reasons, but when you find the right platform for you and your voice and your thoughts and ideas, that can be something that contributes to the whole. So like the whole industry, or to all the people that are on that platform. So you can kind of get like, you can switch your mind to using those platforms as a resource that empower your other activities in life. And I was thinking about this because we got things like AI and stuff like that coming out. It's already been out, and people have innovated on that enough to where it's becoming more and more indistinguishable from like real reality. Like you're seeing videos and content and listening to music and stuff like that. And you have to be very discerning in order to even notice that that's not real. And even then, like they're fooling even the most discerning people now. So having that, like, being the case, it makes you more valuable. It makes your time more valuable. It makes your thoughts and your ideas and the things that you create, those are even further more valuable, and they can be even more empowering, but you have to find the right place to put those thoughts and ideas. So I think that's where the different social media platforms can come to play. But even those, they can become polluted by the artificial stuff. So like I'm scrolling on my feed and different videos I'm watching and stuff, and you're seeing things now that may not actually exist. It may not actually be an actual event that occurred at a moment in time. So even those things, like you gotta kind of take those with a grain of salt. But you also need something trusted that you can refer back to as a resource. And I think that's more where the analog comes into play, or more of like where the foundational like creators and content and stuff like that can be referred back to. So we may see a resurgence in watching like this. It's, I don't think it's exactly nostalgia. I don't think people are going to be going back and looking at like older things like you know, movies and music and videos and stuff like that just for the sake of nostalgia. I think there's still information. Like you can look out a window, and I think I've said this before, but any person that looks out of a window out into like a field or a forest or whatever is going to notice different things based on their life experience. And that's, I think, the cream of the crop of what we're going to be more focused on, is like how a unique view, how unique thoughts and ideas that come from real people are going to be more important than ever. And that's the case with like movies and TV shows and stuff like that. Even music, like you're going to be able to be referring back to these older like movies and videos, and with your new thoughts and I'd find this also as I got older. Like when I'm younger, I focused on certain things, and there were certain things I cared about as a kid, and that was the part of the movie or TV show that spoke to me. And then as I got older, watching the very same movie or TV show or whatever, and I would look at them now kind of with my more mature adult eyes, and I would get something else out of it. And the SpongeBob is pretty popular right now. A movie came out recently, and that is like one of the first examples of like something that would be like a child show or something intended for a younger audience that also spoke to the adults in the room. And I think more of the case is going to be like that, where we're going to go back looking at some of these things, and there will be new things as well. But like depending on where you're at in your level of expertise or experience, or like the things that you care about, like that part of whatever the art is or whatever the content is will still speak to you in a new way. And I think we're going to rely more on that than like the artificial stuff, but I think the artificial stuff will begin to adopt some of those ideas. And so it's kind of crazy. It's in my mind, I was just thinking about those deer like voting on which direction to graze in next. And that's kind of how our democracy works. That's how we an analogy I was giving as well is like to reduce it to the simplest terms that I can understand it in is like, I don't know, indigenous or Native American tribes would usually consist of like a couple hundred people. And it had to be a certain number because after it got beyond that, it became unmanageable. And it's like the natural order would shift things to where it would kind of destabilize, or it could destabilize a tribe or a group of people. And in that group, you would have the elders, and you would have like the chiefs and the elders making like the decisions on like how the tribe will be living, you know, next, or like where they're going, or they would be aware of like the state of things right now. And then you'd have like the mothers and caregivers taking care of the young, and then you would have the young as well. And then you'd also have like the hunter-gatherer types. And at some point, like the hunter-gatherer types could like, you know, have some sort of a trauma, get bumped on the head or something like that, and begin to wonder like, what am I doing this for all these other people? Like I can go off and grab my own women and children and start my own tribe and go do something totally separate than this. So it's important to keep them happy. It's important to get the people that are hunting and gathering or taking care of the young, or the young themselves, and the chiefs and the elders, like these different groups create the whole tribe. And if the tribe is somehow destabilized and one group has power over the other, then they can begin to wonder what they're working towards, and they can start to branch off and go and create their own tribes. And I think that's a very rudimentary way of like understanding how even like the games we're playing and why the deer grazing go to different places and stuff like that, or even just like the different social media platforms and why we have different ones, and then like why those are different in some way. Like they incentivize you in different ways, so depending on those incentives, you'll be more or less likely to go from one to the next. So yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about this morning. Like, what are we contributing our energy and our time and our resources towards? And how can we be more conscious and aware of that? And how can that be something that supports us on into the future? Like, not just me, but you, and not just you and me, but us, but we. But yeah, I was like, this is kind of the long and short of my thought process this morning. And I don't know, maybe a new form of content that I'll probably be doing, like just riffing, because even if my hands are chopped off, I can still think thoughts and I can still speak. Because like I was thinking, like, I'm playing video games a lot, and that's very heavily dependent on me being able to articulate and move the mouse and stuff like that with my fingers, and like having my body healthy enough to sit in one place for a very long time. And any one of these things, like, I don't know, you specialize more as you get older. You kind of just like, you get rid of the waste of like your time and energy, and you try to pour more of your time and energy into the things that are giving you something back. And yeah, I don't know, like, I don't want to put myself in on a road with a dead end. Like, I'd much rather have options and be diverse and have the ability to shift and change and pivot when necessary. And I've been doing a similar thing for a long time, but it's not for nothing. Like, I'm still thinking about and experiencing and growing and maturing, and I think that's driving me somewhere worthy of my time and energy, somewhere that I want to be, somewhere doing something that I can share with others, that can be replicated. So yeah, I don't know, like, I think I'm done talking. I'm just like rambling now, but I don't know, some of these thoughts felt important to share. And I don't really have anywhere I'm going, but I think I might want to do like, I'm not driving the conversation towards anywhere. Like, I'm obviously going somewhere. We're all going somewhere. We're gonna end up right there where we're going. But regardless, like, I may want to try to create a new form of content, and this can contribute to that form. Like, this could be the first of many, or maybe this is like the third or fourth, because I've done this a couple times, or just kind of riffed my thoughts and begun somewhat of a podcast. But a podcast is kind of consistent. Like, you want something digestible and ongoing. And I don't know, maybe this is like episode 3 of that podcast. I didn't realize that I was doing until just now. But like, I want to maybe do this more. Maybe I want to do more of these thoughts, these Elude, Stalwart, Vanguard, just riffing on a mic. But yeah, I'm still playing guitar. I'm still playing WoW. I'm looking forward to the Midnight expansion. I've dipped my toe into Arc Raiders. It seems pretty fun. I see what's going on with Fortnite. I ain't forgot about Fortnite, but we have a limited amount of hard drive space, time, and energy. So I have to be discerning where I'm putting that. And I have to be investing my time and energy where it's most rewarded. And rewarded by my own standard, by my own, because not everything's just rewarding in just one or two ways. Some things can be rewarding in more than one or two ways. So I don't know, like, I'm always trying to think about new ways to innovate and be more efficient at what I love to do. And that's mainly what I'm doing. I'm doing the most is the most that I'm doing is what I love to do the most. But yeah, I think I'm done talking. And I appreciate you guys listening to me rant for a little while. But until next time, these have been my thoughts. And I didn't really do much troubleshooting here on the voice thing. I will be listening to this back and checking like the audio levels and stuff like that. And check. I got the ability to do some other things with my voice, like I can make it sound in different ways. Oh, maybe I'll tune that to where I sound more pleasing to the ear. But yeah, I'm just tinkering, guys. Peace.